Let the galaxy burn.
Hi guys, Skypoint here. Now this video is about 2 days late, but forgive me, I was just trying out all the new changes that this patch has brought for us. So, as you may have noticed, 2 days ago the developers released a pretty substantial balance patch for Horus Heresy Legions. I'm going to take a couple minutes just to run through what those changes are and give my opinion on those. So let's start with the main event. People have been complaining about Jubac Starsight for a really long time, and there have been various solutions offered to try balance him out. The main problem with Jubac Starsight is that he was so good that he was pretty much required in every single deck, and that's usually a sign of an OP card, the one that everyone has to have. So what made Jubac Starsight so good? Well, he had this incredible ability, which is totally unchanged, that at the end of each of your turns, he copies a card from the enemy deck and adds it to your hand. That means you're always guaranteed at least one bonus card out of the enemy deck whenever you play Jubac. And he used to have 4 health, which meant that he was actually quite tanky, and especially if you played him early on in the game, your enemy would struggle to kill him with any speed at all. And so most of the time Jubac would survive for 2 turns and be able to often tip a match, especially because a lot of people are convinced that he had a bias towards drawing powerful cards. Maybe it's confirmation bias. You always fear that your legendaries get copied by Jubac, and sometimes you feel that it's always your legendaries getting copied. Anyway, Jubac is actually being balanced by a very simple mechanism. The devs dropped his health by 1 point, and with 3 health now there's actually many ways to kill him in 1 turn, and so he's actually dropped out of quite a fair bit of usage. For a lot of decks there's better ways of spending 3 energy than having a dude who's going to survive 1 turn and give you 1 card. Alright, so that's Jubac Starsight. The next change was, next couple of changes were on the Mechanicum troop. So we're going to dig down to 3 energy where we find, oops, that's the wrong faction. There's Mechanicum. Alright, where we find the 2 energy actually, the Secutari Axiarch. This guy was previously super strong as well. Coming in at 1 energy less than Jubac, he came in with 3 health as well as Survivor 1 and a really useful ability as well. And just like with Jubac, that little bit of health, now coming at 3 health, meant he was often played on the first turn. It made him very sticky, hard to remove, and he would also usually last about 2 turns, which was significantly better than any other 2 energy card. And so he got nerfed in the same way as Jubac. They cut 1 point off of his health, and it's had a similar impact. Now that he dies more easily, he's getting used a little bit less. I still think he's a pretty decent card, he's just not as overwhelmingly powerful as he was before. So some people, I think, were feeling that this guy was a bit too strong and he's been nerfed. The next one came totally out of the blue. I don't think anyone used to have any real problems with the, where's he gone here? Skitarii Protector, but he got buffed anyway. So he used, well, his abilities and everything are exactly the same, but he's gone from being 4 attack up to 5 attack. He was already a fantastic card to include in your deck, and now he is one of the best 5 energy guys to include. He's going to remove stealth from 1 enemy unit, he's going to give you a front line to protect yourself. He's got a lot of health, so he's going to probably take a good couple of hits, or he's going to soak up 1 really big hit, which would have come for you. And with 5 attack, he actually hurts whoever hits him pretty hard as well. So this was not asked for, but now this unit has become super powerful. Alright, the next buff was actually to one of the least used cards in the game. It was from the Chaos deck, and it was at 4 energy, Possess. So Possess used to be applied only to infantry and Astartes, and so that meant it had no impact on Custodes, and this card, which was already underused, had even less impact as more and more vehicles were released in the game and people went with more vehicle intensive build. Possess has now been changed so that it impacts every non-structure unit, and it's still kind of expensive for what it is. So I don't know, I don't like it. Some people have an idea that it can work well with Mortarion decks, so I don't know, I might throw it into a Morty deck and give it a go. But Possess was already a kind of underwhelming card before. Now that you've increased the number of units it applies to, I think it's still not great, but we'll see. Alright, so that's Possess. So that's the neutrals who were changed. The next change was a relatively small one to Constantine Valdor. Not to his card itself actually, but if we go down, it's to his Reckoning. His Reckoning used to cost 14 energy, and the cost used to go down whenever you ended your turn with no other cards except the Reckoning card in your hand. I personally, and now I don't have Valdor, I only play him in events, I thought his Reckoning was not too hard to pull off, especially late game. But a lot of people were really complaining about it, and the devs have now changed it completely. It now costs 16 energy, and it becomes cheaper every time he kills someone. I personally think this makes it much harder to actually trigger his Reckoning, because most of the time you want to, especially early on in the game when enemy units are soft and easy, you probably want to be using Valdor to actually draw cards rather than kill enemy units. Because given the number of powerful Custodes units with Sentinel, most Valdor players spend the first couple of turns using his energy ability to build up their deck, so that after they begin playing Sentinel troops, they can keep having cards to play. So I think it's made Valdor harder. I won't be able to try him on the ladder until I get lucky enough to get him out of a crate. One day. Alright, next couple of buffs were to the Iron Hand. So this is one of the really underplayed legions. It still isn't enough, I think, but or maybe not. I mean, I started playing Iron Hands a bit more and they're a bit nasty. You know what? I like the Iron Hands changes. I think the devs do need to wait and see what this does. Alright, so what are they? Going through in no particular order except what the devs released them in. The first change was to Venerable Kolmek. So this Dreadnought used to actually be pretty terrible. It had 8 attack before, it had 7 health, and its ability was that whenever a Space Marine unit on your side dies, it gained 3 health back. That was a super specific set of conditions. Now it's a self-healing vehicle, and it's a pretty big heal, which actually makes this guy not bad. Now, most of the time when you have a unit which does 8 attack out there, the enemy will try to always kill it in one turn because you don't want that thing repeatedly attacking. So I'm not sure how often you'll get your Relentless to trigger, but it's a decent ability now. I don't think this card is as useless as it was before, and it's a pretty viable vehicle now. Next up is a huge change, Iron Father. Iron Father's stats are unchanged. His ability has changed a little now though. So, before he used to only buff your Iron Hands units, and I think he did it only as a Relentless ability. Now, whenever you drop Iron Father, all of your units gain +1 attack and +1 health. And this helps to really start escalating the Iron Hands board presence and control. This card was pretty good before, it's really excellent now. I like what they did here. Next was one of those changes no one could even see coming. Tarragon was kind of a really underused card. It got a very slight buff. It went up to from 6 attack to 7 attack, and the rest of it was unchanged. It's decent. I actually think have some Tarragons in a new build I'm trying out. You might see a video of it over the next couple of weeks as I tweak and perfect it. But yeah, Tarragon is not bad, especially for a common card. I mean, it still has this great Relentless ability, so it's a neat little buff over there. Alright, the next buff is to the Storm. Now, of all the issues with the Storm, I don't know why the developers thought the energy cost was the most important one. But yep, they cut the Storm down from 2 energy to 1 energy. Yeah, not super keen on this. Honestly, I think I've been thinking about how you use the Storm badly. You don't play it early on in the game. You save the Storm until very late in the game when you have lots of units hopefully on the board and the enemy has very few cards in hand. And then you play it to sort of just solidify your hold on the board. I don't know, like, it's still not a great card. I love those rare occasions when it works and it helps you to win the game, but cutting the energy cost by 1 is not making a big difference here. But speaking of big differences, possibly one of the worst cards in the game has been totally fixed. The Hammer. It's still a legendary card which costs 7 energy, but it's been really reworked. It still draws a card like before, but now it deals damage to all of the enemy troops equal to the number of troops cards in your hand. This becomes a viable board clear for the Iron Hands, which they were kind of missing before. And it's really, I would have actually liked it more if it also damaged the enemy Warlord. It does not damage the enemy Warlord, but I've been using the Hammer and it's been very useful in a pinch, saving me in some situations. So this was a great balance tweak they did. Alright, and now on to the main event, the 1000 nerfs of the 1000 Suns. Okay, I'm gonna go in, I guess, the main order. Magnus the Red has had an open and also some covert nerfs. So the first nerf is his energy ability, Psychic Energy. It does less damage now. So it does up to 2 damage. So before it used to be 30% chance of 1, 33% chance of 1 damage, 33% chance of 2 damage, 33% chance of 3 damage. Now it's 50% 1 damage, 50% 2 damage. Honestly, this is kind of like when he was first released. So usually you now want to save his psychic ability only for when you're trying to finish off a badly damaged enemy. Okay, the next nerf to Magnus. And this was probably needed. Magnus's transformation was far too easy to trigger before. And most games with Magnus ended with him becoming the Shard of Magnus. And they've adjusted that now. So his cost has gone up by 2. Which on its own would not make a big difference. Instead of 25 energy to start with, it costs 27. But they've also made a major tweak. So if we go and look at, actually we need to look at here, yeah, Psychic Barriers. So Psychic Barriers, they stop damaging your Warlord when they die. So that used to be a main way for Magnus to trigger his Reckoning, right? His Whisper of Chaos. He would throw out Maketra Squad, they would throw out 2 Psychic Barriers. When those Psychic Barriers died, you took 2 ticks of damage, which meant every Maketra Squad would actually cut down your energy cost to transform into a Whisper by 2. So assuming your deck had 2 Maketra Squads in there, Maketra Cabals, I mean, your energy cost would start at 25, so you had to get ticked 15. You had to take damage 15 times to trigger it. Well, 4 of those 15 would come straight out of your Maketra Cabals and their Psychic Barriers. Now you no longer get that. And on top of that, Maketra Cabal has been nerfed. It only puts 1 Psychic Barrier into play. To balance that, its health has improved, which now means it usually survives until the next turn, so it can actually do some damage. So it's still a pretty useful card, but it's no longer a means of triggering Magnus into his Whisper of Chaos. Shard of Magnus form, that's what I was going for. Alright, and the other little buff to the 1000 Suns among all the nerfs is Prospering Lore. It used to be gain 3 energy and draw a card. They were trying to make it less powerful, so they took away the draw a card ability, and then it became probably too weak because it turned into a way of converting regular energy into psychic energy, but usually having regular energy was a higher priority. Now, Prospering Lore actually gives you 4 psychic energies. That's a bit more efficient, and it becomes a bit more desirable to have. So it's a better card than before. But the main event, you may have noticed that, or you may be thinking that, hey, if the Psychic Barrier doesn't damage the Warlord anymore, wasn't there a Warlord who I've been saying in my last couple of videos has a big problem because his ability, making Psychic Barriers, damages himself? You're absolutely right. The change to the Psychic Barriers, which was needed to make Magnus's Whisper of Chaos harder to do, is a huge buff for our old friend Phosis Takar. And so, to balance that, the devs have actually changed Phosis Takar. It's a very slight change. He no longer starts with an extra card in hand. Now, as I said, I spent the last couple of days playtesting these changes, and I can tell you that Phosis Takar is buffed far more than he's nerfed. You do not miss that extra starting card because you're now just laughing behind your barriers all the time. Alright, so that's the balance patch. Go ahead and share with me what you guys think about it, and remember to subscribe if you have not subscribed already, and stay tuned for my next couple of videos over this weekend. Alright, bye for now guys.